Will I be starting a podcast in the near future? Let's talk about it. I'm Chris Adams, and before I get started on my video, guys, can you please hit the like button, follow me on TikTok, and subscribe to me over on YouTube. Okay, I've been approached many times by several different people about joining them to do a podcast. I might be starting my own podcast in the near future. I would love to be on there with somebody else. Here's the problem, guys, and I mean this with all due respect, okay? One of the reasons that a lot of people follow me, and they've told me this, is because I'm unbiased. I give you unbiased opinion. I'm fair. I'll tell it like it is. You have a lot of people, especially UK fans. If you hate John Calipari, you're not going to give him any credit for anything. If you like Mark Pope, you're not going to say he's at fault at anything. If you hate Mark Pope, you're not going to give him credit for anything. If you love Reed Sheppard, you're not going to say when he's having a bad game. You know what I'm saying? I love Reed Sheppard. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, a lot of people hate Brandon Garrison. They hate Brandon Garrison, and he has gotten on my nerves this year. You know, he's been lazy at times the way he played. Brandon Garrison's playing some solid ball right now. To be on a podcast, you have to admit that. You have to tell both sides of the story. And I'm just going to give you some examples. All right, here's a perfect example, okay? I'm going to give you all a perfect example. And I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm auditioning, but I'm just telling you, for me to be on a podcast with you, you have to be an open-minded person. And you all know our fan base. They like you or they don't. And I'm not like that. And I think it's why a lot of people tune in, because the stats and everything I say is concrete fact that you can't argue with. And when you're in the wrong, people, instead of admitting that they were wrong, they either make excuses or they don't reply to you, okay? Like I've asked many times this year, give me a prediction on Mark Pope. How far do we go? If the people who, these Mark Pope lovers that won't admit, that won't have it any other way, they're afraid to even predict, most of them. I got a buddy, Jason Hibbert. He's probably one of the best ones. I could do a podcast with him anytime because he's fair. He's not really comfortable in front of a camera. And I wish I could get him there because he's fair. Like, he's so on board with Mark Pope, but he admits sometimes, well, this is terrible, that's terrible. You have to be open-minded. You have to be open-minded. Some idiot on KSR, I love KSR, but I'm just saying, some idiot on some radio show once upon a time said this about John Calipari. Well, he's just a good recruiter. He's not a basketball coach. It's somebody who's not knowledgeable about the game at all that said that, and thousands of you all have repeated it. Here's what I say. John Calipari took over UMass with not much talent at all and made them into a powerhouse. John Calipari took over a Memphis team that was terrible and made them into a powerhouse. John Calipari, I've asked this question many times, and I to this day I have not gotten an answer. I've been asking this for 10 years. Not one single person has gave me an intelligent response to this. It's usually they don't even respond to it. I want you all to give me, I'm searching. I've been searching for over a decade for an answer to this question, okay? This is for the John Calipari can only recruit people. John Calipari is the only coach in the 134-year history of college basketball to beat the number one team in the country 3 consecutive seasons. He's the only coach to do so. In 94, he beat defending champion North Carolina, coached by Hall of Famer Dean Smith. In 95, he beat defending national champion Arkansas, coached by Hall of Fame coach Nolan Richardson. 96, he beat eventual national champion Kentucky, coached by Hall of Famer Rick Pitino. Dean Smith, Nolan Richardson, and Rick Pitino, all three had more talent than John Calipari, and John Calipari defeated all three consecutive seasons. So how is it humanly possible that the man is just a good recruiter and can't coach and accomplish that nobody else in the history of college basketball has accomplished? The answer to the question is the man is a brilliant coach. that completely smashes any thought of he's just a good recruiter. When somebody says he's just a good recruiter, that tells me that person is a follower. A follower. I had a woman last week say he's just a good recruiter. You may tell you what that woman's did? She's heard her husband say that, and several other people say that, or somebody on the radio say it. We're talking about a woman that she don't know the difference between zone and man-to-man and said he's just a good recruiter. I'm not trying to get all worked up here, but you can't bring that to the table if you're doing a podcast with me. You have to be intelligent. You have to give intelligent responses and topics and all that stuff. I'll give you another example of just unfairness. Why do people say that about John Calipari? Because they don't like him. Because they don't like him. If Rick Pitino would have done the same thing, he'd be getting praised for it. People would constantly talk about it. People would post about it. You know he would. You know he would. Rick Pitino just got his 900th win. He has 903 wins now. What have we? I shared it. I love Rick Pitino. Everybody shared his 900th win. John Calipari is 6 wins away from his 900th win. You watch when he gets there and let me know if y'all share it. Nobody will say congratulations, coach, or anything because they don't like the man. They don't like him. They don't like John Calipari. I'm not trying to make this all about a John Calipari podcast. You ask the average Kentucky fan, who's better, Pitino or Calipari? Well, Rick's better easily. I have a whole lot of stats and concrete evidence that suggest otherwise, that I can throw at you that you won't have an answer for. And I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything. I just tell it like it is. John Calipari has a winning record against Rick Pitino, 17 wins versus 13 losses. John Calipari has a better winning percentage overall in the history of college basketball, 76 to 74. And that's a big gap over when you're talking about over 1,000 games coached. 2% is a huge gap. So John Calipari easily has a better winning percentage than him. He has a better win-loss record against Rick Pitino. You can't say it's about who has the better team. In their entire coaching careers, there's been 3 upsets, the head-to-head. Out of those 30 games, what I'm trying to say is the favorite in those 30 games between John Calipari and Rick Pitino have won 27 of the 30 matchups. All 3 underdogs were John Calipari. He won in the regular season at Rupp in 2014. He beat defending national champion Louisville and coached by Rick Pitino at Rupp, a game I set mid-court 3 rows up for. Still got pictures from it. Later on that year in the Sweet 16, Louisville was favored again to get revenge on Calipari and Calipari's 5 freshmen. Calipari, as an 8 seed, sent Rick Pitino and defending national champion home in the Sweet 16. So another upset. Last year, St. John's, what everybody say, St. John's is going to kill Arkansas and Calipari in the second round. And Calipari did what he always does to Rick Pitino. He sent him home out of the tournament. John Calipari has a winning record in the NCAA tournament against Rick Pitino. He has a better head-to-head. He has a better winning percentage. John Calipari has not lost to Rick Pitino in the tournament since the 1996 Final Four. 30 years, and they matched up 3 times, and Calipari's beat him every time. He sent him home in 2 different programs with completely different players. It don't matter. Let me tell you a little secret about it. That style doesn't work against Calipari. It just struggles. Calipari, he dominated Billy Donovan. That style does not work against John Calipari coach teams normally. It don't. Rick Pitino's great. John Calipari's great. I have a whole lot of evidence that suggests otherwise about Pitino better than Calipari. Why does people say Pitino's better than Calipari? Because they like Pitino better. That's why. Okay? I love them both. That's my 2 favorite coaches of all time. But if you're on a podcast, you've got to be open-minded and fair. That's what I'm saying. I'll give you another example. Let's get off Calipari for a minute. Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard came from my region. I've been inside the Sheppard home. Jeff and Stacy treated me great. This is before Reed was born. We ate dinner at the Sheppard home. I love Reed Sheppard. Absolutely love Reed Sheppard. Probably my favorite player in the NBA right now. I bet on Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard won me money yesterday. Okay, here's the deal. You have people, and I'm going to bring him up, a really good friend of mine that I love very much who sings music. You need to follow him, Micah Corey from Barberville. And tell him I mentioned him in this. Micah Corey, I respect his knowledge, love his passion, diehard Kentucky fan. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with him, and there's several people like this. If Reed Sheppard has a bad game, they won't talk about it. They won't even talk about it if he has a bad game. If Reed Sheppard makes some shots and scores 16 points or something like that, they share all this stuff and they go crazy. Let me explain this about Reed Sheppard. What do you hear about Reed Sheppard all the time? Great, nothing but good, nothing but great. Let me tell you who Reed Sheppard is, okay, in the NBA. Number 3 overall pick. Number 3 overall pick is supposed to be your face of your franchise and everything. Right now, Reed Sheppard's a role player. Granted, he's playing on a really good team. I love Reed Sheppard. I believe in his potential. Let me tell you who Reed Sheppard is. He ranks 103rd in the NBA in scoring. He ranks 89 in assists. He ranks 64th in three-point percentage. Reed Sheppard is underachieving as a number 3 overall pick. He's overachieving if you want to look at it from he's a kid from London, Kentucky that made it to the NBA. I love Reed Sheppard. I'll say this for Reed Sheppard. If he played on a bad team where he got more playing time, I do think those numbers would be greatly elevated. How have I been with Reed Sheppard? He had a train wreck rookie season. I was hard on him. He was phenomenal in the month of November and December. Reed Sheppard was phenomenal. He's fell off a cliff his last 10 games, and he's hitting a little bit of the not rookie wall, but young player, not used to a long schedule. I think Reed Sheppard's legs, he's losing them a little bit. He probably could use a rest there or whatever. He was 10 for his last 50 from 3 yesterday. Yesterday busted out and had a pretty good game, and I know he would. I believe in Reed Sheppard. I love him. I love Reed Sheppard. But I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm fair. I'm fair with Reed Sheppard. I'm fair with Calipari. I'm fair with Pitino. Another example, like there's so many people, Tom, let me tell you one of the biggest, since it's Super Bowl Sunday, let's talk a little bit NFL. Tom Brady owned Peyton Manning. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning met 3 times in the AFC Championship game. Peyton Manning was 3-0 against him. Peyton Manning won the 06 AFC Championship game when he was in Indianapolis. He beat Tom Brady. He went to Denver and he beat Tom Brady in 2013 in the AFC Championship game. And then 2 years later, he beat Tom Brady again in 2015 in the AFC Championship game. 3 games. That was 3 games with 3 different head coaches and 2 different franchises. Meaning, what changed? Everybody around Peyton Manning changed. Tom Brady had Belichick, Gronk, and all that stuff. And everything stayed the same for Brady. Peyton Manning changed everything around him. Offenses, schemes, players, coaches, franchises, and he still was able to beat Tom Brady. So people who say that to me, when people say stuff like Brady owned Peyton Manning, Pitino's better than Calipari, Calipari is just a recruiter and all that stuff, that tells me that you're a follower and you really didn't research it for yourself. One thing I want you all to know, that you can rely on me. I tell it like it is. I will not give you the wrong information. One of my goals is to make people I want my podcast or my videos, my channel, to raise your sports IQ. I want you to be able to say one day, I'm a more knowledgeable sports fan because of Chris Adams. Because I give concrete facts. I don't play favorites or anything like that. And something else, championships. Everybody's like, well, Tom Brady's the GOAT because he has 7 championships. Okay. All right. So what you're saying is because Bill Russell has 11 rings, he's greater than Michael Jordan, who has 6. No, sorry, it don't work that way. Tom Brady's great. I love Tom Brady. I have a lot of evidence that says he's not the greatest quarterback of all time. And I believe Peyton Manning is. Tom Brady's definitely in the discussion. I love Tom Brady. I love listening to Tom Brady. I love the Tom Brady roast. But I'll tell it like it is. You don't get to sit down in a podcast with me and just say Tom Brady's the GOAT. No, I'll have you explain that to me in full detail. Explain to me that Tom Brady's the GOAT. Because I have a whole lot that I'll throw back at you. You know what I'm saying? So I love Rick Pitino. I love John Calipari. I love Reed Sheppard. I love Brady, Manning. You have to be fair. You have to be fair about everything. Okay? That's why it would be so difficult for me to do a podcast with somebody, because everybody, what's the deal? Everybody, what they like, they don't want to go against anything. They don't want to go against anything like. Go back to Micah Corey. He was constantly on Mark Stoops, like constantly on him, like boom, 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 kept bashing him and all that stuff. Anybody who's on my Facebook, that's my venting chat. That's my venting part. You get a lot of, that's what you get, what I really think, before I got time to think about it. I've hammered Mark Pope. I've also given Mark Pope great credit when credit is due. You get somebody like Micah Corey and some of these Pope lovers, not just Mike. I'm throwing Micah's name out here because I love him, and you all need to follow him. Musician. Love him. Love Micah Corey. Love his passion. Here's the thing with Mike Corey. He's not going to say anything bad about Pope. When Mark Pope was 9-6 and struggling, he went 2 or 3 weeks without even posting about it because he knew there's nothing good to post and he wasn't going to bash him. But you let that be Mark Stoops. It was every day with Mark Stoops. I also give Micah credit on this. He was on board with getting rid of Stoops. I wasn't. I'm a loyal person. I'm a fan of Mark Stoops and everything he did here, but Mike Corey was right. Me and my wife and my family, we're so excited about Kentucky football. We can't wait. We love Stein. We can't wait. So I got to give Mike credit on that. He was one of the first ones to say, he's got to go. Look, we got to go. And I was like, all right, you're right. He's all right, baby. My dog's a little hungry. Anyway, I got a little long-winded about the podcast deal. The thing is, there's not many people that's fair. Like, if you love Mark Pope, you're going to say he's like having a great season. If you hate him, you're not going to give him any credit. I'm the neutral. I'm the neutral for this fan base. I'll tell it like it is. All my analysis, I tell it exactly like it is. Exactly what if I hate a player, Terrell Owens is one of my most hated players of all time in the National Football League. One of the best receivers ever. He's one of the best receivers ever. Christian Laettner fired the shot that cut straight through my heart that I've still not healed from today. 32 years later. Christian Laettner hit the shot to put away my favorite Kentucky team of all time, the 1992 Kentucky Wildcats. Christian Laettner is the greatest college basketball player to ever play the game, in my opinion. He's the greatest player to ever play the game, and I can't stand him. You've got to be able to separate and tell it like it is. Anybody who's on a podcast with me, you have to do that. I'm going to close. I need an answer to that question. How did John Calipari beat the number 1 team in the country 3 consecutive seasons? Fact check me. Google it. He beat North Carolina, Arkansas, Kentucky 3 consecutive years. The number 1 ranked team in the country. Beat them all 3. How did he do that if he's just a good recruiter? He didn't have – all 3 had more talent. 3 Hall of Fame head coaches. They were on neutral sites. It wasn't at UMass. It wasn't a home game or anything. How is that possible if the man's only a good recruiter? The answer is it's not possible. He's a great coach. I mean, but I'm not going to sit and argue with 50,000 people who's brainwashed and listen to some idiot say he's just a good recruiter. So there's my take, guys. So if you want to be my partner in a podcast, you have got to be 100% on point because my followers deserve the absolute best. I love my followers. I love people who follow me. They mean the world to me. They deserve the maximum, the absolute best of my time and effort. I love you all. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm going to do a few more videos. We're going to go live. I'm just letting everybody know if you want to be on a podcast with me, or anything like that, those are the standards you will have to live up to. We'll raise the bar, baby. This ain't just bullshit 101 like I hear some of these podcasts. This is big time, the big leagues. Love you all. Have a great day. God bless. Go Cats.